Alright y'all, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do today. I'm out here looking for some crappie off of some of these points. As you can see, I've been across this point a few times right here, back and forth, zigzagging around. And I see some crappie laying underneath this bait fish right here, right on the bottom. It looks like there's, this thing is reading some fish that are up inside the bait as well. And I don't necessarily trust that just yet. Sometimes they can be up a little higher in there. But the ones I'm going to target are going to be right along the bottom, right off this little break line right in here in this little trough. Those are the ones that I'm going to try to catch first, and possibly these off on the ends right here as well. But it looks pretty good. I'm going to get to it. Let me get up here a little bit shallower, right here. And you start seeing them right here where I'm coming up. I'm going to start fishing this area right here on this break. I'm going to follow these contour lines the best I can. My front unit up here, my 2D on it, I just have the regular map that comes inside the graph, so I don't have as much detail as I do on this one. I have a chip in this one right here. So, but I'm gonna try to do the best I can. I'll use landmarks and stuff once I figure out the depth, and I'll start trying to stay on those contour lines after we figure out and establish which depth they're gonna bite at. Okay, let me show you what I'm gonna do here. I've got a 7-foot medium rod. I've got 6-pound monofilament line on here on this rod, little spinning reel. I've got a double setup here. Got 1/4 ounce jigs. Got one up here about, I'm gonna say, I don't know, 10 inches or so above the other. And I'm just gonna do a slow troll on this point right here. See if I can catch a few of these crappie. They're relating pretty much on the bottom. I'm using my 2D sonar, and you can see there's fish laying real tight to the bottom. There's also some up here up a little higher, so I may have to raise it up, but there's some hanging off right off the bottom right here too. And I'm going to try to work up and down this point. And what I'll do is I'll just hold them jigs kind of still, just right up off the bottom, and I'm going to get the trolling motor going at a steady little troll. Sometimes if I get going too fast, I'll just let off and let it back off, and drift backwards. And actually that's what I'll do a lot if I'm headed the right direction on a point, which this one doesn't. It kind of goes north and south, and the wind's out of the east, or out of the west, I'm sorry. And so this point doesn't really line up just right for me just to kind of go up and down it, so I'm going to have to go off to the side of it, if that makes any sense. I'm going to go up and then have to drift back, go up and drift back because of the wind the way it is. But I'm going to just make sure that bottom jig just stays right up off the bottom. Just kind of ease down through here and see if I can find some that are pretty active. I see a lot of fish are pretty high. I'll raise that thing up every now and then up here like this and see if I can get a bite up pretty high, especially when I get into some area where I see bigger lines up here high. Those are liable to be crappie that are up higher going through the bait fish. Could be largemouth, could be catfish, you never know. But once I establish what depth of water they're at, where they're holding, I'm going to try to keep my boat positioned in that depth for the most part. And I can see them on my electronics like this right here, but that doesn't always mean those are going to bite. And you might get in 30 foot of water and those fish bite as the ones in 29 and 28 don't. So I'm just going to drag around and see what I can catch here for a little bit. Every now and then I might hop that jig a little bit, just hop it, but most of the time I'm just going to hold it steady. The boat's drifting around and bouncing around enough with this little bit of wind that it gives those jigs quite a bit of action, so I don't want to overdo it. The water temperature is 54.8, so it's kind of cooling off. Today's actually going to be a lot warmer day than it has been. It's going to get up near 70, I believe. But that probably won't affect the water temperature very much out here where we're at. So we'll just see what we can do. We may see what color they like. I got two different colors. I got a chartreuse one on the top with a pink head, and a white body on the bottom with a chartreuse head. These fish will be feeding on shad pretty heavy this time of year in January like this. And these crappie will really be feeding up, because it won't be long that they'll have to start thinking about moving towards spawning. And so they'll be all up underneath this shad and bait and stuff that you can see here on the screen. They'll be running through them, eating them. Something's down there running through them now, but they're not biting my jigs just yet. I'm just going to keep moving till I find them. You know how crappie are. They'll be grouped up in a tight little area. I've caught them, you know, be on one point like this and catch them in an area the size of the front of my boat here and nowhere else on the point. So I'm just going to keep moving until I find them. You know, I can graph them, like I say, with my back graph back there, but that doesn't always mean that you'll catch those. You don't always stop right on the biting fish, I guess. Oh, there's one right there. Look at there. I hadn't been out here but a few minutes. Just starting. He's a little guy, but we got a bite anyway. And luckily, on this particular body of water, we don't have to keep them like we do other places. But that's a start. Get it back down there. And what I'll do too is, if I catch a good one, I'll mark my spot on my GPS up here so that I know exactly where I was at. And then if I move down a little ways and maybe I catch another good one or so, I'll mark it again, and I'll just keep doing that. That way I can just make a trail back and forth in between my GPS points. And the good thing about this is you don't need live scope to do this. It's laying over here on the side of the boat, so I'm not using it. I'm just using the 2D and the trolling motor. There's another one. Look at there. That's a good spot right here. I done got two. That feels like a little better. He's a little bit better, a little white one. Man, they're eating it good when they get it. Golly. I'm gonna hit my spot lock so he stay right here. Goodness. 2 fish in less than 5 minutes of fishing. Can't beat that. Yep. Well. Let's see here. Oh shoot. I gotta get my rag out. Never get your rag out first, because then that's too overconfident. They'll show you right quick not to do that. Okay. Now I use these 2 heavy jigs. Now I could probably get away with 2 1/8 ounce today. I've been fishing, it's been really windy, and I just have these quarters on here. But I like the quarters when doing this because it keeps my line straight down, and it keeps the jigs from swinging up off the bottom too bad. I can actually troll at a faster speed. You know, if there's not any wind, you can use 2 lighter jigs if you want, but it seems to me that this works pretty well with these heavier ones. Like I said, I like to be able to go pretty fast. I don't want that line swinging up too much and getting that bait too far off the bottom. I want it to stay as close to the bottom as I can possibly get it. And both of those bites, both of those fish were in 25 feet. So we're going to kind of try to stay in that 25-foot mark, just at least for now. I may need to back up through that little place and drift back through that area again, because I didn't go but maybe 10 feet when I caught both of those. I'm going to back up just a little bit through here and let it drift with the wind right back through that little stretch. The wind's laying even more than it was, so I can turn my trolling motor down just a little bit. There's a bite right there. Yep, I'll see, all I did was just drift through the area where I just come through. He's not too bad. He just barely got hung. I just drifted through that same area again, and there's another one. Let's get it back down there and see if there ain't a few more. Hold it right up off the bottom, and I'm gonna let her go backwards some more. Maybe we'll stumble into some big ones here somewhere. Sometimes the smaller fish could be holding at a different depth than the bigger ones. So I'll kind of veer off into some deeper water here in a minute and see if that's the case. You know, sometimes the 1 to 2 pound fish be out in 30, 35 feet if you're catching everything else in, you know, around 25 if you're smaller. You can get out there a little deeper, and sometimes there's some bigger ones. And vice versa, I've seen it where the small fish have been out shallow. I've seen it where the small fish have been out deep, and then the bigger fish are shallow. I've seen that as well, so just kind of got to let them tell you where they are. All right, I kind of got back through that little area again, so I'm going to go ahead and pull back forward. Another one right there. I mean, this is a crappie killer right here, buddy. Hey, that's a better keeper. And you notice I'm catching them on both colors. I've caught them on the chartreuse and pink and the chartreuse and white. So it ain't really matter, you know, when you get around them, it don't really matter what color a lot of times. It's all about the presentation and being right in front of the fish. Usually on my trips, everybody's got different colors on, so none of us fishing the same color, unless one of us just really starts getting them good on you know, one particular color. Then we may at least have that one on each hook. You know, each rod may at least have one of that color on, and have a different color on as well. But now that fish was out in 28 feet and not in the 25. When they hit this with this double rig, like today, they are knocking the fire out of it when they hit it. Sometimes, you know, depending on the day, it can be a lot lighter bite, a lot harder to catch them because they'll just barely nip at it. But today they're actually really smacking it good so far. You know, in the 10 minutes I've been out here anyway. It seems like that one little area right where it goes from 25 to 27, that one little stretch is where those fish were. I got out of it. I moved out of it a little bit. I did mark the GPS on those because I can kind of tell by my little zigzags on here. I know where I was at in there when I got the bites. Now, if they would have been all 2-pounders, I'd have marked it for sure, because there was definitely be something down there that they liked. Let's see, we're probably at least 20 feet from where we caught those. There's another one right there as I started going down. Strong rascal. Yeah, he's on a different color. Not bad. Not no giant just yet, but we'll take them. And see that I'm keeping that bottom jig not an inch off the bottom. Sometimes I can feel it dragging into the bottom, and those fish will still come up there and smack it. They're laying really tight down on it. They've all been about the same size right up in this depth. I'm gonna ease out a little deeper. Another thing I'll do as well is I'm always constantly making sure that I'm at the right depth. I let it down, get it on the bottom again, and then raise it up just a little, half a turn or something like that after I get the line tight. Now I'm off in 30. I see a lot of fish down there in 30 feet. We'll see if there's any better ones. And there may not be any biting in 30. You know, you just gotta try it. And at least with this setup and this rig like this, you can do it pretty fast, because it's staying down straight in the water column, and you're dragging it with the trolling motor pretty quickly. So if they're down in that depth, you can sure find them fast. Not getting anything out here in this deeper water just yet. Okay, I'm gonna back up in here in this shallower stuff, get up into around 27 to 25. That seems like that's where the bites are at. I'm just gonna let it drift back now. I want you to look at how thick all that bait and stuff is right there. So thick. where I caught those fish wasn't near as much shad and bait, you know, like that is what that is. But you can tell there's all kinds of fish underneath right here. I get up around 27, I bet you I get a bite. Drag it pretty fast down through here. I'm getting into 28, 27. There's one right there. As soon as I got into that depth, that's what I was talking about. You know, I established what depth they were in a matter of 5 minutes out here. Not a big one, but we'll take him. Let him grow up. Get back down in there. See if we can find us some bigger ones. There's got to be some bigger ones biting in this lake somewhere. Especially with all this bait down there. There's another one. Hey, now I think that's a little bigger there. He's acting a little bigger. All I did was get it right back down in there. I mean fast too. Oh yeah, look at here. That's a good one there. Yes, sir. Might be still. May have to get the forceps out to get him off. Heck yeah, that's uh-oh. Yeah, now that's a good one there. Yeah, we like them like that. Nice one. Let her back in there. Get her back down in there and see if there's another one hungry. Just drifting it with the wind now. Kind of right across that same spot where I had those first few. There's another one. I mean, it's just as fast as you can fish. I mean, it's just, when you find them doing this, I mean, you can really whack them good and quick. It don't take long to catch a limit. I also use this 6-pound line so that those baits, it helps those baits stay down there, hanging straighter in the water as well. Doesn't have as much drag on it as like braid does. Now I fell off a little too, look at there, I was fixing to say I fell off a little deeper, but I still got me one. Golly. Catch them as quick as you can. And they're mixed in, you know, look, there's black ones and white ones all mixed together down in there. Have to keep the trolling motor going to keep the jigs moving. Very seldom do we not have any wind at all, hardly. It's gonna make up for it in another couple days though. I think it's supposed to be another front blow in, and it's gonna really blow hard then. Right where it transitions from 25 to 30, that edge right there is where all of them have been. You know, since the introduction of live scope, very few people fish this way anymore. Down here where I live anyway. I don't hardly see as many doing this. Everybody's out fishing standing timber, catching individual fish off of the trees, which is good. That's more for me. You know, I didn't see any kind of stick ups or any kind of snags of any kind on this point. Just bare bottom and shad. That's all it takes, and a little bit of depth change. Sometimes you can change the size of your jigs and actually catch bigger fish. You may not catch as many, but the ones you might, that you might catch may be the 1.5 to 2 pound fish. Use a bigger body on there with a bigger profile, and I'm going between 0.3 and 0.4 mile an hour. It's as fast. That's the speed. And 0.5, I get up to about 0.5. I don't hardly go much over about 0.5, but between 0.3 and 0.5 is perfect. There was another one right there. I was right at 0.5 mile an hour when this one hit. Also, sometimes your speed can really make a difference. Golly, boy, he really inhaled it. You can sometimes speed up or slow down depending on the day. You know, you'll get more bites sometimes if you're going 0.5 versus if you're going, 0.2 or something like that. So you want to make sure that you experiment with that. And once you figure it out and you know, okay, that's the speed I was going, man, you just make sure you continue to do that and you can really catch them in a hurry. Now, I fish on lakes too, so I'm not sure how it is in rivers. I just know that this is how it is in the lakes down here where I live, in this part of, I'm going to say, East Texas. All the lakes are the same down around here as far as the way I catch them. I can go to any lake doing this same technique. anywhere in this area. Like I say, I never have fished a river, so I'm not sure how rivers are. I've seen some videos where some guys catching them a lot shallower now in rivers than what we are on these lakes. I mean, they're throwing up in the pockets and things like that with slip corks and stuff and catching them. The shad are so thick on here that the screen's registering it's only 13 foot, 13, 14 foot of water, and I'm in about 27. There's another one. I sped up just a little bit and got another good fish on. I had stopped let off the trolling motor and let it go down to 0.2 mile an hour, and I didn't get any bites. I sped it back up to 0.5 and got me a nice one. Nice black crappie right there, man. Beautiful fish. Let's get it back in there. See if there's any more down there. I think here in a minute, just for giggles, I'm gonna go to another point and see if I can't find some on it. Oh, there he was. I got up a little shallower even than 22 feet and got one. Strong rascal. Old black crappie. Alrighty. I'm gonna catch one more here, and then we'll move to another point and see if it works other places. Oh, golly bum, soon as I got down there, I ain't even got time to go nowhere yet. Oh, shoot, man. Well, shucks. Alright, well, I said I'd catch one more and we'll go, so that's what we'll do. I'll throw him back, and we'll move to another point and see if we can't find them on it. Same way. See how long it takes us to get a bite. Now I'm gonna stay. You can see where I've been across here before. I bass fished over here the other day, throwing a jigging spoon and Ned rig and caught some bass. So I'm gonna try to catch crappie. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stay right here where these contour lines are real close together right there. Already seeing a bunch of shad coming up and seeing fish laying here on the bottom. Look at there, right there on the little break, right where it starts to come up just a little bit right there. I'm gonna swing out this way. See, you see some laying real tight to the bottom right here. You know, I can't see them on my down scan, but I can see them on my 2D laying real tight. Look like little rocks up there. Let me turn around, and I'm gonna get right where it starts to fall off right there. We'll let it fall off into right in here. Let's see, 25, 24, 26, somewhere in there. And we'll start our troll and see what happens. Alright, y'all, so I'm gonna drop it down right here and drift up. Oh, there's one right there. As soon as I got it down in there. Not a bad crappie. As soon as I got started. I started drifting across it after I turned around and marked them fish, and the wind started blowing, and I started, well, I just gonna drift, and drifting down through there and caught one. Now I'm gonna have to turn around and go into the wind. It's kind of getting up a little bit. Didn't take long though. You come to a new point, all you gotta do is start dragging this jig around pretty fast, and you can find them on it really quickly. You know, there's another one. Golly, I missed him. You just use your electronics to find them first, and then just start dragging that jig down through there to see which ones are going to bite at what depth, and then just stay at that depth. And there's another one. Golly. Hey, this one here is pulling pretty good. This may not be a crappie here. Whoa, my trolling motor's jumping. My trolling motor's jumping, and I do got a crappie, a monster one too. Look at here what we got. I knew there was some big ones down in there. Come here, you. There she is. Big son of a gun right there, buddy. Yeah, we'll take them like that all day. Look at that. You think that thing didn't want it? Look how far it's got it down in his throat right there. That's going to need the forceps for sure. That's a good one there. Woo, it ate it good. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Let's get her back in there. Okay. Man, I'll tell you, if you hadn't tried this already, you got to give it a shot. It's a very effective way to fish. Turn my trolling motor up so that I can get that 0.5 mile an hour, because that seems to be the key. Oh, there's another one. Golly bum. That seems to be the key speed today. Hey, that's a little bass. Look at there. Isn't he cute? Yeah. I like him. Thank you, sir. I've got these tied in double loop knots too, so that they swing pretty good. Just a real simple loop knot. Both of them are on one of those, and it helps, you know, they stay fairly untangled. I don't really have to worry about that, and they swing really good. Okay, let's get started again here, get our troll going. I can't emphasize enough how effective this is at finding them, and rather quickly. Ooh, there's another one. There's another one. It just makes it really fast, really easy. Look at there's a nice one too. You don't have to be the greatest with your electronics to do this. I mean, you know, you just got to be able to find shad and be able to troll with your trolling motor. And they'll be so snug sometimes to the bottom that you can't even pick them up on your 2D or your down imaging or anything. A lot of people think that crappie just suspend all the time. Well, that's not always the case. They're hanging out in little type groups on these points though. Another one. Hey, he's pulling a little bit of drag out. Strong. I don't know how big he is, but he's strong. Yeah, another nice one. Look at there. Another nice fish. If you hadn't already tried trolling for crappie, I'd advise trying it. It's very effective. You can find them really quickly, and you can catch a limit real fast. I mean, it's just a very simple way to fish. Hey, if you hadn't already, please hit the subscribe button and like the video. And hey, if you have any comments on crappie fishing, you have any questions, just leave it in the comment section, and I'll do my best to answer it. I answer pretty much all of them, unless somehow or another they get put in a different area on YouTube where I can't see them. I'm gonna get back after it. Get back in there, girl. There you go.